Okay, so now I'm going to speak about how individuals' constitutional rights are violated by people who are involved in contract stalking. When you're born, you have something that is inalienable. That's your constitutional rights, your civil rights. These are rights that cannot be infringed upon lawfully within this country, within the United States of America. And so if somebody's constitutional rights and their civil rights are being infringed upon, that's against the law. That person can be arrested and prosecuted if evidence is submitted. Okay, if you have evidence that somebody has violated your constitutional rights, they can be arrested, not just by city law or state law, they can be arrested by federal law. Okay, this is the federal government that they're violating. And they're violating they're violating the laws of the federal government, and they're also violating international law because the federal government has contracts with the United Nations where they have agreed with the United Nations that they will not let people's civil rights and constitutional rights be infringed upon. And when they do business with foreign nations, they're taking upon that merit. This is who you're saying you are. You abide by the supreme law of the land, of your land. The Constitution of the United States of America, that's your stronghold. So people who are government workers, or politicians, or state employees, or police officers, or they work in the FBI, wherever they work, and whatever they're about, they are obligated to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. They're not obligated to uphold communism. They're not obligated to uphold police corruption. They're not obligated to uphold Freemasonry and Freemasonic law. They're obligated to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And when you're born in this country, you have rights that cannot be infringed upon. Unalienable rights. Unalienable rights. And that's their obligation to defend your rights. It's not your obligation to just defend your constitutional rights. They have an obligation. A police officer has an obligation to defend somebody's civil rights. You know, they chose to work as a police officer, or they chose to work as an FBI agent. And it's illegal for them to let somebody violate your civil rights. And it doesn't matter who the person is. If I see somebody walking the streets and I know they're a child molester or a drug dealer or something, it doesn't matter what they are or what they've done. They still have civil rights and they still have constitutional rights. That's why America is respected, because people take America on the basis and the merit of that everybody gets constitutional rights. Everybody should have a fair trial. If you're accused of a crime and you get placed under arrest, you're supposed to have a fair trial. And when the judge swears in, the judge swears in to the state constitution, and judges swear in to the Constitution of the United States of America. That's the supreme law in a courtroom. It's not Freemasonry or the white glove treatment or KGB communism or Soviet communism. It's not what Stalin says or what Hitler says or what your local Ku Klux Klan leader says. It's about the Constitution of the United States of America. Okay? Did somebody break somebody's civil rights? And so that's what's happening with the contract stalking, is people are state employees along with private investigators and other elements are showing up at restaurants and stores and courtrooms and hospitals and telling people what they have to do when a certain individual comes into their store or their hospital or their court. And that's not legal. That's a violation of somebody's civil rights. That's the same thing. That's the same thing as like being in Mississippi back in the 1930s and saying, well, this person's African American or Hispanic or whatever they are, they're not going to eat in my restaurant, or they can't drink out of this drinking fountain. You can't drink out of this drinking fountain. You can't ride the city bus like everybody else. You have to ride in the back of the bus. When you come around, things change. When you're in my store, the law changes. You don't get constitutional law. You get Negro black codes of 1700s. See what I'm saying? And so, before the Constitution was written. So that's what I'm talking about, is these people are violating constitutional rights. And that's something I'm born with, and that's something everybody else is born with. You're born with your civil rights. And nobody else out there has the authority to come along and take that from somebody. If they try to do it, it's an illegal act. And they should be arrested and prosecuted. Doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if it's a police officer. It doesn't matter if it's the President of the United States of America. If they violate the Constitution and they violate somebody's civil rights, that's enough right there to get somebody hemmed up. And so that's what I'm talking about. My civil rights have been violated, and there's no show cause for it. There's no just cause for it. It's just unlawful. It's just illegal. That my civil rights are allowed to be violated, and where I was the rights I was born with, and somebody should go to federal prison for that.